What's up, everybody? My name is Matt. This is my girlfriend, Haley. She's gonna be our assistant in the class today. So the way this will work is I'm gonna be coaching and she's gonna be demonstrating. That's gonna provide some extra feedback and some extra coaching opportunities because she might not put herself in just the right position, or I'm able to show varying styles of the position. So it's gonna be super, super beneficial to have her today. I have the mic, so I'll be doing all the talking. She'll just be doing the moves with us. Okay, so today is gonna be a hip internal rotation class. So everything hip internal rotation. If you think of the femur in the hip socket, that is the femur rotating towards the midline. Okay, so because it's gonna be a hip class, we're gonna start with cars in the lumbar and thoracic spine, the hip, knee, and ankle, and then go into the work. For props today, ankle weights are gonna be highly recommended. So we have a 2.5 and a 5 pound weight. Anywhere from 2.5 to 10 would be a sweet spot depending on how strong your hip joint is. Again, totally optional, but will make the class more stimulating. Okay, so this is an irradiation-based class. So all of our efforts are going to be scaled from 0 to 100% tension. So we're going to start off with our irradiation scale. So we're going to stand, go ahead and spread your feet hip distance apart. You're going to make 2 fists with your hands. You're going to roll your shoulders back. You're going to engage your core. Now squeeze at about 30 to 40%. Okay, comfortable, you can move around, but tense. Turn it up to 60. Good. 80, turn it up. 90, this should get red in the face, kind of veins popping in the neck and forearm. And 100, clench the butt, squeeze the quads, spread the toes, squeeze the fists. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and slowly relax. Awesome. So throughout our work today, I will cue you sporadically through an irradiation percentage, and that is the percentage scale. Let's go ahead and get started. All of our cars today will be done at in between 40 and 60% irradiation. Let's go ahead and get into a tabletop. So on all fours, and then face forward this way so the camera can see you sideways. Cool. And then go ahead. She's going to cup her hands together like this, and she's going to drop her forehead in her hands. Perfect. Cool. Now what I'm going to have her do is push through your elbows into the ground and round your upper back. Round your upper back. Good. Push. Okay. So she's pushing into her upper back, rounding so that she can just move the lower back here. So now I'm going to have you articulate just that pelvis. Perfect. So we're doing lumbar spine segmentation. And so she's good at these. So she's going to want to start going fast, but I want her to slow down a little bit and do a breath to movement. So you're going to inhale as you open up here into extension, and then exhale as you hollow out. Good. We're going to do this for 1.5 minutes. I have a timer here. Go ahead and squeeze up. Inhale here. Exhale there. Awesome. And then as she's doing this, she's trying to reach for as much range of motion as possible. So I'm coming here, I'm gonna pull on that flexion, and then she's dumping down into extension as much as she can. Now every once in a while, I'm gonna remind her, round the upper back. So push through those elbows, keep rounding up here, Haley. Good. We've got 45 more seconds. Nice and slow. Perfect. Remembering that breath, using the deep core muscles, belly button is sucking in the entire way through this move. Awesome, Haley, 20 more seconds. Stay with me. Drive through those elbows. 10 seconds. Good control. And let's go ahead and shut that down. We're gonna move into the thoracic spine. So now you're gonna sit your butt on your heels and your hands are gonna come right in front of your knees, just like that. Perfect. Okay, now, if this is hard for some of y'all to sit in, what you can do is get a pillow or a blanket, and you can slip it underneath the heels like this. So as she sits down, just kind of elevates. Lift up, Haley. You can also put a pad underneath your ankles. So if you get pain in your ankles, you could tuck or slide something underneath there. Okay, cool. She's good, so go ahead and point your toes, Haley. Now she's gonna round her lower back. So she's gonna take her abdomen and push like this. Now she's gonna hold the tension in the lumbar spine while trying to extend and flex the thoracic. Good, we're gonna be here 1.5 minutes. Let's go ahead and start. So what she's gonna do is she's gonna inhale as she pushes the rib cage forward, and then she's gonna exhale as she pushes up and rounds the back. Inhale, pull forward. Exhale, push up. Perfect, Haley. Keep it rolling. Awesome. And then I want you to look at the end of the mat and try and keep your eyes right on the end of the mat. It's perfect. So we want to do just the thoracic spine and not the neck as well. Awesome. Now a little less in the shoulders and more through the rib cage. Yeah, good, like that. And then pressing up, big. Awesome, beautiful. Okay, y'all have 30 more seconds. Good breathing. Remember, nice and slow. Push that range of motion. Perfect. One more full rep. And good. Now we're just going to walk the hands forward into tabletop. Now we're going into hip cars. So we're going to do 3 hip cars in each direction. Now I'm going to add another cue where we can take a yoga block and put it on your back. So this is going to help the pelvis tilting side to side. So Haley's going to take that tabletop. We're going to put this yoga block on her back to remind her not to let that pelvis tilt. Now Haley, you're going to take your right hip through a hip car. So she's going to bring the knee up to elbow as much as she can. Good, and you're seeing that block starting to move. She's trying to keep it as flat as possible. Lift out to the side, push up into extension, and then tap that knee to the ground and then work it backwards. Press up, externally rotate out, tap the forearm or as close as you can get, and that's 1 rep. So she's got 3. Perfect, good control. One thing you're gonna notice, Haley's really good at reaching up into that extension. So as that leg comes back, which I'll cover right here, she's got 1 more, open out to the side. She keeps the knee as high as possible without arching the back. So pause here in that extension, Haley, right here, pause. This is what I'm talking about. We're hitting that extension, squeezing the glute, and then you externally rotate and pull that knee through. Perfect, Haley. And then we'll go ahead and flip around so they can see the other side. Perfect. All right, so blocks on. Now she's on the left side, opening out, circling around. She's gonna hit that really good extension, and then she's gonna tap that knee to the ground. Gonna work it backwards, hit that extension, rotate through. Good, 1. Abs are engaged. Working it backwards. 2, and 1 more rep here. Good control. Awesome, circling around, and that is 3. Now we're gonna move into our knee and ankle. How'd that feel?
Yeah, good.
Perfect. Okay, so grab a seat. For the knee, she's gonna wrap her arms around the femur and pull it up into the chest. Now it doesn't matter which leg we start on, we're gonna do them both. She's gonna flex the foot up towards the shin, and now what she's focused on is the rotation of the tibia and the fibula. So we can actually rotate that knee quite a bit side to side. We're gonna do about 5 to each direction. So as we rotate, you're gonna feel squeeze. So it rotates externally, she's gonna feel a squeeze on the outside of her leg. Internally, she's gonna feel a squeeze on the inside. Okay, so back and forth. Let's do 1 more full rep. Then go ahead and switch knees. Perfect, flexing that foot. She's gonna rotate externally and then internally. As she goes external, she feels a pull on the outside, tightening, and then a pull on the inside as she goes internally. We're gonna do 5 of these. Perfect, that's 3, we've got 2 more. Bingo, and ankle cars to finish us off. I like to use a yoga block to prop up the foot. You can use a foam roller, any kind of thing. The main thing we're focused on is locking out the knee so that the femur doesn't move. So Haley, go ahead and lock out that knee, squeeze the quad. Now take your ankle cars. Good, so what she's trying to do is she's trying to draw the biggest circle possible with the foot using the ankle joint only. So you're noticing how the leg isn't rotating side to side. She's doing a really good job of isolating to just the ankle joint using that 40 to 60% irradiation. Perfect, go ahead and reverse. Slow it down just a little bit. We wanna go nice and slow. It gives you time to find all of those nooks and crannies. Perfect, and go ahead and switch. Cool, now on this left side, same setup. We're gonna lock that knee out. We're gonna squeeze the quad, and then she's gonna scrape along the biggest circle possible for 3 reps. Really good there.
This one definitely hurts a little more.
And so one thing we're watching out for is, as we're doing all of our cars and work today, is closing angle joint pain. So a closing angle joint pain would be on the ankle. Go ahead and pause on the inside. So if she goes into this inversion position, if she gets a pinch on the inside of the ankle, that would be a closing angle. So if she was feeling pain there, she would back up out of that pinch and then move around it. So she wouldn't actually work into that pinch point. She would use that as a barrier, okay? Just wanted to cover that pinch point there.
Is this the opposite way?
Yep, yep, no, it's perfect.
It's really activating like a ton right there.
Yep, and so she's saying she's getting some stretch on the posterior, or excuse me, lateral side of the shin of the tibialis. So one thing we would know is this has some tight tissue out here, and we need to work some ankle inversion, pails and rails to help lengthen some of that tissue and give us a little bit more capsular space. So we'll note that for another time on our personal training. Perfect, and that is the ankle cars. Now we're gonna move into some sideline capsule cars with weight. So Haley, I'm gonna have you go ahead, sit down, and put on this 2.5 pounder, okay? And you can use that ledge. So we will need some sort of ledge or bench to work off. A bed will work, a couch, a dining room table, like bench, something like that. And what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna have you lay on your side. Go ahead and lay on the side with the weight. Perfect, okay? So Haley's laying on her side, and then you're gonna come all the way down if you're comfortable there. Cool, okay. So she's gonna bring this femur, this bottom femur at 90 degrees. She's gonna support herself with this top leg and this top hand. Now what she's gonna do is, she's gonna let that hip fall into maximum internal rotation, so I can see that's about her end range. I can start to move her pelvis. And then she's gonna pull up into as much external rotation as possible. And then she's gonna slowly drop that down. How's that feel? New, good. Yeah, we haven't done these before, so this is the first time for her as well. We're gonna drop into that internal rotation, and then we're gonna pull up into that external rotation. We're gonna do 10 of these. So that was 3 for her. We're gonna drop down to as much length as we can, and then squeeze up into that external. Good. 4. Get that internal pull into that passive range. Activate and squeeze out of it. 5. Awesome. 6, really good. She's got her core engaged. She's not letting the pelvis roll back. Her hips are staying stacked on top of each other. 7, and then that femur is staying right at 90 degrees. 8, and then what she's focused on is the actual rotation of the femur. 9, one more rep here, Haley. 10, perfect, and now she's gonna sit straight up. So go ahead and sit up for me. And we're gonna work pails and rails of internal rotation. So we're gonna use a kettlebell. So a weight will actually be needed as well. Sorry, I didn't mention that in the beginning. She's gonna sit, go ahead and scoot back for me a little bit on the bench. She's gonna put this block in between her knees so she can squeeze it. And then she's gonna pull this foot out into as much internal rotation as possible. So do you feel like a stopping out here?
Yeah.
Good. So this might be somewhere someone might feel a pinch point out in the hip. I've worked with Haley. I know her hip doesn't have a pinch point here, but something to watch out for on that internal rotation. I'm gonna take the weight and I'm gonna put it right at her end range, okay? So that's at her end range. She's gonna do a pails effort into the kettlebell. So she's gonna try and slide that kettlebell across the floor. I chose a 63-pound kettlebell, so she's not gonna be able to move it. And then rails will be pulling off towards me. So rails will be right there. So she's got a little bit more range than what I blocked it off for, so I'm gonna scoot it out just to make sure we're all the way there. Okay, so she's all set up. We're only gonna do 1 rep here at 100% effort, okay? So I'm gonna ramp her up from 30 to 100. We'll do 8 seconds pails, 8 seconds rails, all at 100%, and then we'll switch legs. So, Haley, I want you to start at pails at 30%, start to push into that kettlebell, okay? Double that to 60%. Okay, take a breath in, squeeze the abs, 90 and 100. Go, 8, 7, dig deeper, 6, 5, 4, 3, brace the core and rails. Pull off the kettlebell. 8, 7, 6. You're noticing how she's keeping this left hip down, but still pulling the foot off. 3, 2, 1, and rest. Awesome. You got some good height there. Okay, now we're gonna switch. So we need to switch ankle weights. So Haley, go ahead and move that ankle weight to the other side. And then we're gonna work all that from the top. So we're gonna go that sideline capsule car for 10 reps into the seated internal rotation pails and rails with the kettlebell. Okay, so she is now on the other side. So your foot is now gonna be over here, perfect. So now just sideline on the other side. And then femur is gonna be bent at 90 degrees. Good, the pelvis is stacked. She's got a nice support here. Now, Haley, we're gonna go into the reps on the other side. She might notice a little bit difference in range. So I can already see she's got less internal rotation on this side. Totally fine, just something to note and also something to be aware of in your training outside of here or even inside the mobility membership. Maybe you spend a little extra time sitting in your passive range, your stretching portion of your internal rotation pails and rails. So Haley, that will be something we're gonna do. Okay, letting that foot drop, good. This is gonna be 3, awesome. Now you can see Haley's starting to wanna pull flexion. So she's wanting to pull the femur up towards her face as she's going into external rotation. So that's something to watch out for. I'm gonna kind of block it off for her so she has something to push against, but is not moving the femur in flexion. Awesome. And also that is something she could do. So she could use one of those hands, you know, and block off as some feedback just like that. Do you know what rep this is?
2 more.
Okay, we're gonna say 3 more. She thought it was 2 more. We got 1 more. Good. Perfect. 1 more rep. Bingo. Now we're gonna sit up. We're gonna set up on the other side. So we're gonna take the yoga block. Yoga block goes between the knees. Kettlebell comes right under. Now, what I want you to be really cognizant of is the hips. So I watched as you came out of rails, you kind of sat the hip back down on the ground a little bit. I want you to focus on keeping both sit bones on the ground, but rotating in the hip socket. So that's what I want y'all to focus on, making sure the sit bones are level. Yeah, good. The hands there are a great cue. And then squeeze the block. So squeeze the block, now pull off and go out as far as you can. Good, okay. Very good. Now, we're gonna start at that 30% and ramp up. All right, you ready?
Yep.
Okay, 30% pails, start to push into that block. Good. Double it, 60%. Take a breath in, squeeze the abs, and 90, and 100% effort, go. Try and slide that kettlebell across the floor. 8, 7, 6, come on, 5, turn it up, 4, squeeze, 2, brace the core, rails, sit bone down, good. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and rest. Beautiful. So you saw on her rails, she got an amazing amount of range lift off. So that tells me, you know, we probably could have pushed that pails a little bit farther. But Haley, great job. Okay, now we're gonna move on to the floor. So go ahead, I'll take the block from you. We're gonna get into a 90-90 position, and we wanna work the leg that we worked first. So Haley started with her left leg. Her left leg is gonna go back in 90-90. So do the 90-90 position, and I want you to set up so they can see you like this.
And you want this in the back?
Yep, that in the back, perfect. So I'm gonna spin you a 180. There you go, just like that, okay? So, boom. So here's 90-90 position. We call it 90-90 because there's a bunch of 90-degree angles. So she's got a 90-degree angle right here with her back leg. She's got a 90-degree angle between her thigh and her back leg, and then a 90-degree angle on her front leg, okay? So lots of 90s there. One thing to note is you might experience discomfort right here on the outside of the back hip. So Haley's got pretty good abduction, but one thing you'll see is you'll get this big scooping sensation where you're flaring the outside rib. You know the feeling. So what we're gonna do is walk the hand out to the side until you can get that spine straight. So Haley's gonna walk out, yeah, maybe a little less than that. You've got good, and then pull that rib up and in. Awesome, okay? So now that we're in that 90-90 position that works for you, we're working back hip. So what we're gonna start off with is sitting this pelvis down. So what I want you to do is try and close the gap. So there's a gap underneath her back leg, and she's trying to sit that gap down and getting a deep capsule stretch. Can you feel that? Yeah, good, she can feel that. It almost feels like a little bone bending sensation. That's what we're looking for. So from here, Now I want you to scan the stretch. So one thing I like to imagine is she's got her femur right here in her hip socket. I want her to push the femur forward and back in the hip socket, but always down towards the ground. So you're pushing down and then you're gonna kind of grab that femur forward and back. Can you feel that?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so now we're gonna go, I'll explain the sequence and then we'll start. So we're gonna do 1 pails and rails effort in internal rotation and abduction right here, okay, this back leg, 1 effort at 100%. Then we're gonna go into 5 passive range liftoffs, 5 liftoffs, and then we're gonna do an iso MP to transition or a shin box looking move. Okay, are you ready?
Yep.
We're ready. We're gonna go into our pails and rails. We're gonna ramp it up from 30% to 100, 8 seconds of pails and rails, and then rest. Here we go. Let's start 30% pails. She's pushing down into the ground. If I tried to pull up the foot, she wouldn't let me. Double it to 60%. Good, breath in, trap the air in the abdomen, 90%, and 100% drive. 8, 7, I'm pulling as hard as I can. 6, 5, 4, brace the core, do not lean forward, stay where you're at, rails, lift the foot. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, rest, stay here and sit into that stretch. Awesome. Okay, that was pails and rails. Now passive range liftoff. What we're gonna do is, now we're in our stretch. She sat back into this position. You're gonna try and rail. So try and lift your foot right now. She can't, right? Beautiful, we're in a passive range. Then she's gonna start to rock forward slowly and that active range will catch. Good, her active range just caught. She's gonna hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, lean back, reset and relax. Take a breath. Inhale, exhale. Rails pull up and rock forward for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Take 1 full breath. Inhale, exhale, and rails. Squeeze up and rock forward. Good. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. That was 2 or 3? That was 2, right?
2.
Okay, we got 3 more. Rock back, rails, squeeze up, and rock forward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. 2 more. Take a full breath. And rails, squeeze and rock. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Rest. Last rep. Stay in. Rails. Pull up and rock forward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. Awesome. Good job. Stay here. We've got a little bit more. So now we're going to go into just liftoffs. So we're going to stay in our active range. So what I need is, if this is about Haley's end range of motion, I'm going to have her go about 10 degrees forward. Good. And put both hands on the ground, kind of frame that front leg. Now try and lift this back foot. Awesome. So you can see she can lift that back foot no problem. Okay. We're going to do 5 5-second holds here. An option is to add an ankle weight. Okay, so if you're like, ooh, I want some extra spice, which I know Haley does, we're gonna add an ankle weight. So the ankle weight will go on. We're not doing a lot here, 2.5 pounds, and this will add a significant amount of challenge for her. Okay, so here we go, Haley. Brace the core and rails pull up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. We take 1 breath. Rails pull up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. That is 2. Brace the core and rails pull up. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Set it down. Take a full breath. Brace the core. Rails pull up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rest. We got 2 more. Breath in. Out. Rails. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. This is last rep. Inhale. Exhale. Brace the core and pull up. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Rest. Stay here. Awesome. How'd that feel? Good. Weight was manageable?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So now we're going to move into our last lift off before our transition, which is going to be pure abduction. Abduction is gonna be the act of lifting the entire shin, okay? So again, weighted or non-weighted, this is up to you. Haley's gonna take it on weighted because she's in the pain cave right now. Now, we are at our end range of abduction right now. She's feeling this tightness in the outside of the hip. It's challenging. So for her to lift up from here, go ahead and try. Try and lift up the foot as well. Yeah, good. So she's using her body to do it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna kick her out just an inch or two. So just walk that hand out a little bit, and that makes a big difference. Pull the rib cage up and in, brace the core. Now you're gonna pull that leg, straight off, just like that, okay? So we're gonna go into 5-second holds. Are you ready? Yeah, she's ready. Brace the core and rails. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, set it down. Take a breath. Yeah. Challenging. So one thing I'm gonna note before we go into the next reps is Haley's femur started to go into flexion. So it started to come out of line and up into flexion because she's stronger in her flexion position. So the flexion muscles, hip flexors are trying to take over. I'm gonna challenge it by pushing it back, and we're gonna watch it. So one thing you could do is you could take a weight, a kettlebell, a block, anything, just to remind you where you wanna stay, okay? A tactile cue. Brace the core, here we go, and rails, pull up. 5, yeah, you wanna ditch the weight? No. Okay, here we go. Brace the core and rails. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. That's 2. 3 more. You ready? Inhale. Exhale. Brace the core. Rail. Squeeze up. 5. Lock in. 4, 3. You got this. 2 and 1. Cool. Okay, that 5 seconds is getting long. I'm going to drop the weight for her because I want her to finish out. We've got 2 more. Brace the core and rail. Squeeze up. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Set it down. Last rep. Inhale. Exhale. Brace the core and rails. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Set it down. Beautiful. Okay, now we're going to do an iso MP transition. So we're just going to get to the other side. Hang tight, Haley. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold her knee down, but I just want you to imagine someone's holding your front knee down. Now you're going to plant that foot and you're going to open. Yep, exactly. You know where to go. Now I want you to stick your hands up overhead. So a challenge here is hands overhead as you make that transition. Stay as tall as you can. Keep the knees wide apart and set it down. Good. So a challenge here would be a straighter arm, okay, or hands behind the head. Now we're in the other position. Okay, we're gonna go through all of that on the other side. Haley, you good? Okay, so we're in that 90-90 position. Again, you might need to make some slight adjustments, and we're gonna readdress the pinch of the side of the hip. How is this hip feeling?
Yeah, a little tighter.
Little tighter. So she's a little tighter on this side. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna walk this hand away from the supporting leg so there's less pinch. Does that feel better? Yeah. Reasonable? Yeah. Okay. Now she's gonna sit the back hip down and get as much internal rotation on that femur as possible. How's that feeling? Good. Good? Okay. Yeah, nice. So just settle in, take a couple deep breaths. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna scan this position. So she's gonna drop down, she's gonna hold it, and then she's gonna search for the nastiest line of tension. She's gonna look for the thing that feels the worst and the best, and use some breath and relaxation to the nervous system. So almost trying to tap into some parasympathetic breathing to release neurological tension, to settle into that stretch. In just a moment, we're gonna do pails and rails. So we are back. We are gonna go into our pails and rails as a single effort, okay? So now she's gonna come up out of that passive range just a little bit because we wanna be right on the edge of active and passive. Okay, one way to test this is try our rails where you try and lift the foot. Okay, so we actually need you a little bit further back to where that rails is very challenging. So go ahead and lift from here. That's more where we want to be. Perfect. Okay, so now we're going to go one effort. You can go ahead and relax. One effort of pails and rails, ramping up from 30% to 100. 8 seconds of pails and rails, and then we'll rest. Good to go? Yep. 30% pails. Drive down into that ground like you're trying to imprint the foot into the ground. Double it to 60%. Take a breath in, Trap it in the abs. 90 and 100% effort. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Bracing core. 2 and 1. Rails. Pull up. 8. Beautiful internal. 7, 6, 5. Keep this butt down to the ground. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Rest. Awesome. Now sit into that stretch. Good. Take a breath. Okay, now we're gonna go into our passive range lift off. So passive range, she's gonna sit back as far as her body lets her go passively. And then she's gonna try and do a rails, which she won't have control of. And then she's gonna slowly hinge forward until the active range catches. And then she's gonna do a lift off, okay? Sit back towards me, rails, and rock forward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and set it down. Take a breath, load up. Brace the core, rails, and slowly rock forward until it catches. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. Sit back, brace the core, rails, and rock forward. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. You've got one more, Haley. Breath in, squeeze the abs, and rails, rock forward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. Really good job. Okay, so we are gonna add our optional weight here. This is just 2.5 pounds, again, like we did on the other side, but a nasty amount of weight for these lift-offs. And we are gonna get to work. So now she found her passive range, the edge of her active and passive range just now on that rep. I want her to be about 10 degrees further or into active range, right? Because we need enough space in that internal rotation to get a lift off. So Haley, go ahead and lean a little bit farther forward and now try your lift off. Good, that's good height right there. I like that height. Anywhere from 1 inch to 5 inches is a cool zone, okay? Haley, brace your core. Guys, brace your core. Hands on the ground and rails lift off. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Set it down, take a breath. Exhale, trap the air, rails, lift up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Set it down, 2 down, take a breath, trap the air, squeeze the abs, rails. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Set it down, good. 2 more, trap the air, squeeze the abs, rails. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Sit back, take a breath. And back forward. Sorry, you have one more. Shouldn't have said sit back. And rails. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Rest. Awesome. So we tried the weight on the other side for Haley, but we already know this abduction isn't as good. And when it's not as good, what we want to focus on is rather than strengthening the range we have, if it's limited, we want to worry about trying to get as much range as possible and strengthen that end range. So we're gonna get more benefit for you in this right hip from no weight getting towards that end range, okay? Cool, she follows, checks out. Now we're at about her end range of abduction. We need to walk away from that hip. So Haley, go ahead and scoot your hand about 2 inches, actually not back, but forward, yeah, or out, good. So now she's taken the pressure off that abduction, the outside of that hip joint. Now you're gonna try and lift this shin. Go ahead and try. Good. Yeah, it's hard, right? So if that was a little bit too much, kick your hand out further. Okay? Good. She's ready to go. Y'all ready to go? Here it is. Brace the core, pressure in the hands, and rails. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. 1, take a breath. Trap the abs, air and abs, and rails. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 2. Good. We're going to give that block just to remind her not to go into flexion. Brace the core, squeeze the abs, and rails. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. 3. Take a breath. 2 more. Trap the air. Rails. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Breath in. Last one. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Beautiful. Okay, our last little bit, stay here, is just going to be a shin box to the other side, and we will finish. So She's gonna trap this front hip down, punch those hands straight up overhead. Try and keep the spine straight and knees as wide apart as possible. Good. And finish. Perfect. All right, y'all. That was our 30-minute hip internal rotation class. Hope everyone is feeling good. Get ready for some side butts to be sore tomorrow. And I will see you next time. See ya. Phew.